Mia and Ryan are on the same team, using the same AI writing tool for the same kinds of tasks. Same model, same prompts, similar workflow. Mia reviews AI output for whether it sounds right, whether it is well structured, professionally worded, covers the expected ground. If it does, it goes in the deliverable. Ryan reviews AI output for whether it is actually right, whether the facts hold, the logic is sound, the framing is strategically accurate, and the thing it confidently asserts is true. In the last month, Ryan caught 3 significant errors before they made it into client deliverables. 1 factual, 1 analytical, 1 strategic. Mia's deliverables have no idea those errors were possible. The gap between them is not a tool gap. It is not a prompt gap. It is a habit gap. And it is producing very different positions on the team. AI tools are being adopted fast, across almost every knowledge work context. The speed of adoption is outrunning the development of the habits needed to use them well. Most of the advice about AI at work focuses on how to get more out of these tools: better prompts, better workflows, better integration into existing processes. That advice is useful, but it is incomplete. It misses the single most important skill in AI-assisted work: knowing when the output is wrong. Because here is what is actually happening in organizations right now. AI-generated content is moving through review processes that were designed to catch human errors. Those processes check for things like clarity, completeness, and tone. They are not calibrated to catch the specific failure mode that AI introduces, which is confident, well-structured, professionally formatted output that is factually or strategically incorrect. The people who develop a systematic habit of catching that failure mode are becoming unusually valuable. Not because they use AI better than their colleagues, because they use it more safely, and in a world where AI errors are making it into decisions and deliverables at scale, safety is becoming a significant differentiator. To understand why this flaw is structural, you need a basic mental model of how language models actually work. Large language models do not retrieve facts from a database. They generate text by predicting, token by token, what the most statistically likely next word is given the context. They are, at a fundamental level, pattern completion engines. This is why they are so fluent. The output sounds authoritative and well-structured, because the training data it is modeled on is authoritative and well-structured. But fluency is not accuracy, and the model has no internal mechanism that distinguishes between a claim it is confident about and a claim it is effectively guessing at. Both produce the same output characteristics: coherent sentences, professional tone, apparent certainty. A human expert who is uncertain will often signal that uncertainty. They hedge. They qualify. They say, "I am not sure about this," or "you should verify this." The uncertainty shows in the output. An AI tool producing uncertain output looks identical to an AI tool producing certain output. The confidence is uniform. The signal that would tell you when to trust it and when to verify is absent. This is not a flaw that can be fixed by making the model smarter. Smarter models are more fluent and more convincing, which actually makes the problem worse, not better. The more polished the output, the easier it is to approve without scrutiny. Mia is approving polished output. Ryan is scrutinizing it. Same tool. Different outcomes. Here is the mechanism. 4 steps. Step 1. The confidence problem in practice. The flaw shows up in 3 specific ways that are worth naming precisely. The first is factual confabulation. Language models sometimes generate facts that are plausible but incorrect numbers that are slightly off, citations that do not exist, events that did not happen in the way described. These errors are not random noise. They are coherent and contextually appropriate, which makes them easy to miss on a surface review. The second is logical errors that sound right. A model can produce a line of reasoning that is grammatically and rhetorically sound, but logically invalid. The conclusion follows from the premises in the text. but the premises are wrong, or the inference is flawed. A reader focused on clarity rather than correctness will miss this entirely. The third is strategic misalignment. This is the most expensive failure mode in a work context. The AI produces output that is factually accurate, logically coherent, and perfectly calibrated to the wrong goal. It answered the question you asked, rather than the question you needed answered. It optimized for what the prompt specified, rather than what the situation required. Ryan caught all three types in the last month. Mia's deliverables contained at least one of each, she just does not know it yet. Step 2. Why this is structural, not fixable. The uniform confidence problem is not an implementation choice. It is a consequence of how the technology works. Language models are trained to produce fluent, contextually appropriate output. The training process optimizes for output that looks right, not output that is right. And the evaluation mechanisms that would give a model a calibrated sense of its own uncertainty, the kind of metacognitive awareness a human expert develops, do not exist in the same form in current architectures. Newer models include features like confidence scores and uncertainty flags. These help at the margins, but they do not solve the core problem, because the model's self-assessment of its confidence is itself generated by the same process that produced the uncertain claim in the first place. The practical implication is that no version of the tool is going to reliably tell you when to trust it. That judgment has to come from the person using it, which means the verification habit is not a workaround for a temporary limitation. It is a permanent feature of responsible AI-assisted work. Step 3. The career cost. What actually happens when confident-looking errors make it into deliverables and decisions. In the short term, a factual error surfaces in a client meeting. An analytical error produces a recommendation that does not hold up under scrutiny. A strategic misalignment means a significant piece of work gets done well in the wrong direction. Each of these is manageable in isolation. Errors happen. They get corrected. The compounding effect is what matters. A person whose outputs consistently require correction, even if each individual error is small, develops a reputation for unreliability that is hard to reverse. Not because they are careless, because their review process is not catching what it should. Conversely, a person whose outputs consistently hold up under scrutiny, who catches errors before they propagate, who flags the thing that was subtly wrong, develops a reputation for reliability and judgment that compounds in the opposite direction. Ryan is building the second reputation. The three errors he caught did not just protect the deliverables. They made his presence in the review process visibly valuable. His manager now routes important AI-assisted work through him before it goes out. That is not a small outcome. That is a structural position in the team. Step 4. The verification habit here is what the verification habit actually looks like in practice. Not paranoia, not treating every AI output as worthless, a specific, systematic review orientation. The question that drives Mia's review is, does this look right? The question that drives Ryan's review is this actually right? Those two questions produce completely different review behaviors. Does this look right leads you to check formatting, structure, tone, and surface coherence. It is fast, and it catches the obvious errors. Is this actually right leads you to check facts against sources. Test the logic independently. Ask whether the framing is strategically correct for this specific situation, and consider whether the model has answered the question you needed rather than the question you asked. The second review takes longer, not much longer, once the habit is established. But the orientation is fundamentally different. 3 specific checks that catch most significant errors. First, verify any specific claim that would matter if it were wrong. Numbers, dates, attributions, descriptions of how something works. Do not assume fluency means accuracy. Second, test the logic independently. Take the conclusion and ask whether it follows from what you actually know about the situation, not from what the model asserted in the preceding paragraph. Third, ask the misalignment question. Is this the right answer to the question this situation actually required? Or is it a good answer to the question I happened to put in the prompt? 1 month. Same team. Same tool. Mia has processed more AI-assisted work than anyone on the team. Her output volume is high. Her turnaround time is fast. She has become the person who can get things done quickly using the new tools. She has also, without knowing it, passed 3 significant errors into deliverables. One client received a document with incorrect market data. One internal recommendation was built on a logical step that did not hold. One strategic framing sent a project in a direction that was subtly but meaningfully wrong. None of these have surfaced catastrophically, but they are there. And in the next quarter, when the errors become visible, the trail leads back to the review process. Ryan's volume is slightly lower. His turnaround is slightly slower. But in the same month, he caught a factual error that would have been embarrassing in a client context, an analytical error that would have produced a wrong recommendation, and a strategic misalignment that would have sent significant work in the wrong direction. He flagged all 3. Quietly, without making it a performance, just the habit of actually checking. His manager noticed, not the flagging the fact that the outputs that went through Ryan were consistently clean in a way that other outputs were not. That is a different kind of visible than volume, and it is the kind that compounds. What kind of visible are you building? If you are working with AI tools right now, it is worth thinking about which of these 2 positions you are in, and whether your current review habit is actually catching what needs to be caught. 1 week. 1 orientation shift. For the next 5 working days, treat every AI-generated output you review as guilty until proven innocent, not hostile, not assuming it is wrong, rigorous, assuming that it might be wrong in a way that looks right, and that your job is to find it before it propagates. Apply the 3 checks to everything that matters. Verify specific claims that would be costly if wrong. Test the logic independently from the text. Ask the misalignment question, is this actually the right answer to the right question? At the end of the week, note what you caught that you would have approved before. Most people who do this exercise find 2 things. First, they catch more than they expected. Not because the tools are bad, because the uniform confidence problem is real, and the surface review habit they had developed was not calibrated to catch it. Second, the habit becomes faster than they expected. The first few reviews feel slow. By day 4, it is not slower, it is just a different orientation. The question is this actually right, rather than does this look right? Same time. Different question. Different results. That is the practice. 1 week to build the habit. The habit to build the position. Mia is faster. Ryan is safer. In a moment when AI-generated content is moving through organizations faster than the review processes designed to catch errors, safer is becoming more valuable than faster. The uniform confidence problem is not going away. It is structural. The tools will get more capable, more fluent, more convincing, which means the problem gets harder to spot, not easier. A more polished output is a more dangerous output if your review habit is calibrated to surface rather than substance. The people who understand this and build the verification habit now are developing something that compounds in a specific direction, not just cleaner deliverables. A reputation for judgment that holds up, a position in the team where important work gets routed through them, because the people above them have learned that outputs which go through their review do not come back with problems. That is the career value of the habit, not the individual catches. The accumulated signal that your presence in a process makes outcomes more reliable. The question worth sitting with this week is simple. If someone audited the AI-assisted work that has gone out under your name in the last month, not for quality of output, but for accuracy of substance, what would they find? If the honest answer is you are not sure, that is the gap the verification habit closes. Verification is one layer of working well with AI. It is the defensive layer, catching what the tool gets wrong before it propagates. But there is an offensive layer that most people never reach. Not just reviewing AI output more rigorously, but using the gap between what AI produces and what the situation actually requires as the specific place where your judgment creates value that the tool cannot. That layer is where the real leverage is. That is what comes next.